AB is not here today, right? So here's the bottom line. He's upset about the helmet issue.
We've worked very closely with the Raiders, and we will continue to work very closely with the Raiders.
We have supported that. We appreciate that, okay? But at this point, we've pretty much exhausted all avenues of relief.
I'm not sure that we agree that we've exhausted all the options.
From our perspective, it's time for him to be all in or all out.
There's no doubt it's still an ongoing process.
We're hoping he's back soon. We got 89 guys busting their tails.
I wouldn't make too much about him not being there today.
We are really excited about where this franchise is going, and we hope AB is going to be a big part of it starting week 1 against Denver.
A little Mike Mayock, a little Drew Rosenhaus, and a lot of uncertainty as to where this relationship stands between receiver Antonio Brown and the Oakland Raiders. It could be an NFL marriage that doesn't last very long. And even if it somehow makes it into the season and through the season, Chris, it's starting to feel like it's not going to last into 2020. So it could be a short-term deal. So for today's PFT Live Draft, we're going to look at NFL marriages that ended quickly. Now, we've gotten rid of the rigged coin toss. Thank God for that. We moved on to a rigged trivia question.
Right.
Today, I get to ask the question. You get to answer the question. And the question is this. During Antonio Brown's extended career with the Pittsburgh Steelers, I'm going to screw this up because we've been arguing about how best to do it. I'm doing it my way. Sorry, Control Room. I'm doing it my way. Give me the over-under on the number of quarterbacks that have thrown Antonio Brown touchdown passes. The over-under is 2.5. Wait a minute. What's right or wrong here? Oh, you got to get it right. Over-under is at 2.5.
Man, you really screwed that up. I think we need to go back to the coin toss. This guy can't even read, okay?
Here's the problem. When
yes.
I'm informed of the trivia question 3 minutes before the segment starts, it creates some issues. But go ahead. Are you over or are you under?
You guys are in trouble in the back. He's mad about this. All right, so I'm going to go with the over just because Big Ben's been banged up a little bit.
And you're wrong. It's under. He's the only one. And listen, they thought that it was a trick question and you'd fall for it if I had you just name all the quarterbacks. But it's like, wait a minute, you can't name all the quarterbacks. You're not going to remember them all because he was suspended. He's been injured. You're not going to remember them all. You're going to say it's a trick question. It's Ben Roethlisberger. But 2.5, I knew I'd get you to take the over.
You did.
I know you well,
I
Christopher
figured there
David
might have
Simms.
been one or two that I couldn't think of. I thought maybe a Landry Jones at least threw him one, and then there would be somebody
Mike
else
Vick.
there.
There was a little Mike Vick in there.
Right.
Yep,
So that's surprising. That's a good one. I like that.
All right, now I get the first pick, and I don't know what I'm going to do. I gotta go with the ultimate short-term NFL marriage. Bill Belichick, the HC of the NYJ for one day. I mean, man, what is that? Is that an annulment? I mean, he showed up at the altar, he took the vows, he signed a contract, and then he got a cocktail napkin and he wrote on it, "I want a divorce," and he left. That's the ultimate short NFL marriage. Bill Belichick once was indeed the head coach of the New York Football Jets.
I mean, it really is amazing. It's actually a great watch to go back and watch that press conference. You see all the personality Bill Belichick had at the time, charisma, all of that. That's all gone out the window. He doesn't care anymore. He's got rings and trophies, and he says, "The hell with you," this day and age. But that was the obvious number one pick there. I got to say that. I'm going to go with one a little bit along the same lines, but it didn't even get to the contract signing part. But I got to go with John Elway with the Baltimore Colts at the time, okay? I mean, John Elway gets drafted number 1 overall. He kind of lets it be known, I'm not going to play for you. Nonetheless, they still draft him. And yes, it was a marriage that ended very quickly. John Elway threatened to play third base for the New York Yankees. The Colts kind of dug their feet in the ground for a little bit, but then eventually said, okay, the hell with this, and traded him to the Denver Broncos. But that was one of the quickest marriages in the NFL that I certainly can remember, at least the publicity around that. I don't know if it necessarily totally fits in with Antonio Brown and all that, which I got more coming up, but I just had to take that one because I thought it was kind of a big deal.
Yeah, but it wasn't really a marriage because he never went to the altar. He never took the vows. It was unrequited. It was an arranged marriage, and the bride didn't show up.
So was Bill Belichick. It was an arranged marriage.
He had no. You got to do your research, Christopher. He had signed the contract that would make him the head coach of the team. He had already agreed that was what was going to happen, and he didn't like that being foisted upon him that way. He was the coach of the team. He did not say, "I don't want to be." He was, and then he resigned.
He had signed the contract. Are you sure about that? He had signed the contract.
He was under contract. Look, the Patriots had to compensate the Jets in order to get him away when he left to go to them. So yeah, trust me, it works. There was a marriage there. There was no marriage with John Elway and the Baltimore Colts. So you've already blown it. All right, I have one that actually lasted a year, but it was the second year that it fell apart. So it's Deion Sanders and Washington, and I guess more specifically, Deion Sanders and Marty Schottenheimer, because Sanders, the big, high-profile free agent acquisition, one of the guys that was pushing Washington over the top in 2000. They ended up failing and not making it to the playoffs. Norv Turner got fired as the head coach. Marty Schottenheimer comes in as the head coach, and Deion Sanders quits during training camp because he doesn't want to have any part of Oklahoma drills. He don't want to have anything to do with Marty Schottenheimer. He had gotten that huge signing bonus. They didn't make him pay it back. He agreed to retire from football, so he didn't play for anybody else. So it's Deion Sanders and Washington / Marty Schottenheimer. Even though he played there for a year, it was a disaster in 2001. And by the way, Schottenheimer would be fired after his only year as head coach of the team.
Yeah, it was a disaster. I mean, that whole thing was shocking. The amount of money they gave Deion, I think, at that point in time where, again, Deion's one of the greatest I've ever seen, but certainly at that point of his career in that age, he was not the Deion we had come to know in the early 90s and mid-90s when he was helping lead the Cowboys and 49ers to the Super Bowl. But, yeah, that was ugly, certainly, and I remember that. So that was on my list as well. I'm going to go with one that was really even worse than that, okay? Maybe this guy's not to the caliber of player, but this guy was a Super Bowl MVP and played with Deion Sanders, and that's Larry Brown. That you want to talk about a marriage that was a disaster, or a marriage that was, kind of like predicated off of a one-night stand. Do you like that? Hey. But it was one night in Super Bowl 30 where Larry Brown had 2 interceptions and won an MVP, and the Raiders gave him money, and he goes in there to Oakland, and he only starts one game in his career there with the Oakland Raiders, and really only plays in 12 games overall. But that was an NFL marriage where it looked cool when it first happened, and you thought, oh gosh, Larry Brown's going to help out this Raiders football team, and he did nothing, and it kind of ended up being a bust type situation.
All right, that one is okay. I have so many, and I thought I was going to have to use some more obscure ones, but you've left some of the most obvious ones still on the board, and I don't know what I want to choose from here, but I'm going to go with one specific player, and when I say Terrell Owens, which team do you think I'm going to say?
It could be any of them, really. It could be all of them. Yes.
You would assume I'm going to say the Philadelphia Eagles because he was there for a year. It worked out well.
That would be the quickest one, right?
No, I'm going with Terrell Owens and the Baltimore Ravens.
Oh.
Because Terrell Owens was traded to the Baltimore Ravens in 2004, and he fought it. He filed a grievance, and the end result was he got traded to the Eagles instead of got traded to the Ravens, and the Ravens got some compensation along the way. So he was technically a member of the Ravens for a very short period of time in March of 2004, and it ultimately worked out for T.O. because he was spectacular that year in Philadelphia. They went to the Super Bowl. But yes, he was a member of the Baltimore Ravens for a brief period of time 15 years ago, and a very short marriage, one that never saw him wear a helmet or a uniform, but he was on the team.
Yeah, I guess so. That's boring. Nobody even remembered. It's not that good if I can't remember it.
It's great if you can't remember. You're like, wow, I forgot all about that.
Belichick was signed on as just a coach. He wasn't a head coach. I challenge all of it. So I'm going with Albert Haynesworth, okay? Albert Haynesworth. You want to talk about – first off, I played with Albert Haynesworth in 2008. He was up to that point into 2008, like the most dominant defensive player in football. He was unblockable. You'd want to talk about F the play up, right, Mike? I mean, he was effing plays up every effing play, okay? I mean, that's how good he was. He goes to Washington, gets a $100 million contract, and just became nothing. He was a shell of himself from that point on. Added to the fact that, yes, it only lasts 2 years with the Washington Redskins, but just like you do, I'm going to add a little more to it. He goes to New England, and we all go, oh, New England got themselves a steal. Oh, gosh, to where, you know, Bill Belichick, I think, thought, I got a guy, I don't even need to see him play in the preseason. He's going to be phenomenal. It's Albert Haynesworth. I had to deal with this guy a few years ago in Tennessee. Doesn't work out there either, and that was really the end of Albert Haynesworth altogether. So that would be up there as far as NFL marriages that ended quickly.
He got that gigantic money in 2009. Jim Zorn was the coach then, started 12 games, appeared in 12 games. It was when Mike Shanahan came and changed the defense from a 4-3 to a 3-4. He didn't want to be a nose tackle,
right,
and it just went off the rails. He had 0 starts in 2010.
Crazy.
Appeared in 8 games, his only season there with Mike Shanahan. A couple others real quickly that I considered. Brett Favre and the Jets. That was a one-year marriage that fell apart. How about Bobby Petrino coaching the Atlanta Falcons and walking out in December?
I had
in his
that
first
too.
year.
I just didn't want to do a coach. I wanted to try to keep it to players as much as possible. George Allen. How about the great George Allen? I didn't realize when I'm looking this up, he coached 2 preseason games for the Rams and left town. So that was a good one. How about this one? How about this one? There once was, for like a day or two, a team known as the Los Angeles Seahawks. In 1996, they moved to Seattle until the NFL said, we're going to fine you $500,000 a day until you move back. They quickly moved back. I did not remember that. That was a new one to me. Okay, I also had like Nnamdi Asomugha on there. I had Matt Flynn on there, okay? And then I had Lane Kiffin and Reggie Wayne also on there too, with Reggie Wayne and his 2 weeks at training camp with the New England Patriots before he realized it wasn't as fun as Indianapolis and he wanted out of there.
Yeah, you know, a lot of guys late in their career go to New England thinking they're going to get a ring and realize, no, I don't want to do what I have to do to get that ring because it isn't fun. It's fun when you get the ring. All right,
I got the ring for this one. Championship.
No, you didn't.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.